So 2016 is coming to an end, and that means it's time to talk about the best, the worst, and the most disappointing. Actually, I won't be talking about the worst because I didn't go see those movies. I didn't see Nine Lives, Gods of Aegis, Norm of the North. I didn't see that stuff, so I can't talk about it. As for the best, yesterday I put out a video talking about my favorite movies of the year. They're not really the best movies of the year because I'm not very objective. I want to talk about what this guy likes, not what's best. So you can check that video out. But as for today, we're going to talk about the movies that were most disappointing for me, where my level of expectation and the delivery of the film that had the largest gap, where these movies came way below where I thought they would or should come in. And with that said, there's some movies that I had some pretty decent expectations for that perhaps should have been on this list or would have been on this list, except I didn't go and see them because I hadn't heard great things about them. So I didn't go see Warcraft. So I can't tell you how disappointed I was in it because everyone else was disappointed, so I didn't go see it. I didn't go see Assassin's Creed because everyone else said it was terrible, so I didn't go see it. So it couldn't have disappointed me. And also, as for this week, I haven't gone to go see Passengers yet. I'm hearing it's probably going to disappoint me and come below what I was expecting from a movie starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt in a spaceship that's out of control, and it's like Titanic in space, except apparently it's not really like that, or at least that's not the best aspects of the movie. With all that said, I'm going to get into my top 5, actually 6 movies that were most disappointing to me this year. And coming in at number 6 was Jason Bourne. This is a movie that I was really excited for because all of the Matt Damon, Jason Bourne movies are really good. And so they've set the bar way up here, and they had repeatedly said, Greengrass and Damon had repeatedly said, we will not come back unless the story is there. And so they didn't. They let other people made movies and that were not so great. They took 10 years off. They come back, and Matt Damon is as good as ever. It's directed as good as ever. The stunts are as good as ever. The action is as good as ever. The little moments are pretty cool in it. And the story, the thing they said would absolutely be there, was not. It was just kind of more of the same. It was like the checklist of Jason Bourne stuff of what needs to be in there. So I can't say this one was bad. It just didn't live up to what came beforehand. Maybe if Ultimatum and Supremacy didn't exist and we just had this one, this movie might feel a lot better and fresher and more original. But because we have those movies, this movie was just kind of like, okay, we got another one. The other ones set the bar up here. We're expecting up here, and the movie was like down here. Still good, not as good as it should have been. Coming up next on the list at number 5 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Now, this is a movie I wasn't expecting up here like I was of Jason Bourne. I was expecting kind of middle of the road, an improvement over the first film. I was really excited about Stephen Amell being in it, and then it's kind of down here still. Enjoyable ride, kind of fun. It's an enjoyable bad, it's an enjoyable mess, but it's a total mess. It feels like a first draft of a script. It does not feel like a movie that they got the script where they wanted it and then they went into production. It feels like they had a release date and then they had a production date, and so whatever we got, we're running with. And I've even heard some internet rumors through some stuff kind of like on Screen Junkies that know some of the writers that kind of affirmed my suspicions on that one. And so while my expectations weren't up here, they were only right down here, it still was well below them. And so because I'm defining disappointment as that gap between what I expected and how bad it was, it makes the number 5 spot. Coming in at number 4 on our list is XMen Apocalypse. Now, to be fair, I wasn't expecting total greatness from that. I'm not as much of a Days of Future Past fan as some people are, and I've just kind of grown a little bit tired of the X-Men franchise. It's over 15 years old. The first movie came out right when I graduated from high school over 15 years ago. So, I mean, it's been around quite a while. And so it feels a little bit stale to me. They've recharged and they've done some cool stuff. But so my expectations are already kind of here. And then the movie for me it's just forgettable. I don't have any desire to see it again. If I'm going to watch an X-Men movie, I'm going to watch one of the other ones. If I want to watch the original crew and cast, I'm going to watch X-Men 2 or X-Men 1. If I want to watch one with the First Class group, I'm going to watch First Class. If I want to watch one that has both of them, I'm going to watch Days of Future Past. And then there's this other thing. Not as bad as X-Men 3, not as bad as Wolverine Origins, but it's just kind of there. not exciting me at all. There's there's a couple of like all the stuff with Fassbender with his family I thought was incredible. Just phenomenal. The acting is so potent, and you're just seeing this guy try to be normal, and the way it plays out is so tragic and dramatic. And then he just where they go with it is terrible, and just not good, engaging, not something I want to watch again. A third act where you're like, what? This is where you went with this? You have Apocalypse, and this was your right? Okay, whatever. So the movie just, even though my expectations were only kind of here, it ended up down here. It wasn't terrible. Just not something I'm interested in at all. Coming in at number 3 is Suicide Squad. Another movie that seemed to have like a lot of potential to be really interesting, really good. And then the marketing campaign for it started like getting people more and more excited for it. Like it was going to have this lively energy to it with this great cast of characters and great actors playing this great cast of characters, with a very unique spin on the comic book movie. And then you started noticing in the commercials, they're not focusing on the plot of the movie or the villain of the movie at all. And so up to the point, and I'd seen all of the main trailers for it. I hadn't watched any TV spots. I watched all of the main trailers, and you never see any of the villains. All the way up to when I went to go see this movie, I had not seen who the villains were in this movie. And there was a good reason they left that out of the marketing. The villain was so bad. The plot of it was so ill-conceived. And there were so many rumors right around when it was released, right after it was released. The director had 6 weeks to write it, and it felt like it. All the rumors that like a trailer farm came in to like re-edit the movie to give it the pizzazz of the trailers. Really feels like that. And so you get this movie that has great actors playing interesting characters, so they're fun and they're charismatic and you like being around them, and they're on this adventure you don't care about at all. A movie, it's just so, like, such a wasted opportunity, such wasted potential. On paper, this cast, these characters, David Ayer writing and directing should be really good. David Ayer writing for 6 weeks and then they hit the record button, not so much. David Ayer shoots a movie and then studio heads go, hey, we got some ideas. They really liked that Bohemian Rhapsody deal. What if that's what the first 30 minutes of the movie is like? It's like a montage of classic rock hits with certain people's characters. It's like character development through song. Isn't that a cool idea? Or whatever this meeting was. Whatever it was. I just want to sit in a room with these people and go, how do you make these decisions? How do you think that this is a good idea? You hired David Ayer because he's done some great stuff before. You trusted him with, $200 million movie that hopefully is going to be a big part of launching franchises. And then you gave him 6 weeks to write his script and second guessed him after that. What did you think was going to happen? That leads us to number 2. Very much along the same lines. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. If you were checked out yesterday's video, I actually rated that in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. But that doesn't mean I wasn't expecting it to be here and it only landed like right here. It was, even for as much as I enjoy it and I can compartmentalize my emotions and feelings and thoughts about it so I only can focus on the stuff that I like. There's a lot of compartments in there that are really bad. The movie's nowhere near as good as it could be, should be, ought be. They just totally botched this movie. Once again, apparently feeling a lot like because they made some terrible decisions. First off, they hired Zack Snyder to kind of run the ball for this first little batch of the DC cinematic universe. And he doesn't seem to like Superman very much. He doesn't seem to like heroes very much. And so Superman's brooding and like getting picked on because he's saving people. And Batman's angry and kills people. So you kind of take some of the heroism out of this whole superhero thing. And so that's problem number 1. And I like Zack Snyder. So I can enjoy this movie based off of, I just like Zack Snyder and his cynical, mean-spirited take on superheroes. Okay, I can live with it as this alt-world type thing. But why not cast or hire a director, writer, and team of people that just love these characters and love heroism? That's kind of what we want from our superheroes, especially ones like Superman that are supposed to be about hope. That's problem number one. Problem number two, you can just feel the studio executives being like, oh man, we just gotta catch up with Marvel. So let's get, like, I think we started off with Man of Steel 2. Why don't we put Batman in there and do Batman v Superman? You can market that really well. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can squeeze him in there, and both Luthor and Batman are mad at Man of Steel over what happened in Metropolis at the end of Man of Steel. So, okay, we can do that. Yeah, we got these other movies we want to do. So if we can put Wonder Woman in there, pretty prominent too. Okay, she's like at a party trying to get some files, and then Batman sends her an email, and then she shows up in the end. Is that a good idea? Yeah. Well, what about Aquaman? Can we have? What about in these emails? We'll put him and Cyborg in the emails. The Flash in the those are just not like. It just feels like a studio executive forcing things that were last minute. Like when you've got it, someone receives an email as a way to introduce 3 characters. We got a problem here because that is not good writing. So I enjoyed this movie for what it was. But it wasn't supposed to be this. It was supposed to be this up here, and it wasn't. And coming in at number 1 on our list, not a very interesting pick, but a terrible pick nonetheless, and that's Batman the Killing Joke. It was technically released in theaters, based off of a great graphic novel, a single one-shot by Alan Moore, and what we got was not a film, first off. It's like 2 episodes of a TV show that aren't connected to each other, just clunked together. And one story's about Batgirl and one story's about Batman and Gordon. And there's no real through line in these 2 deals. This just kind of sets up Batgirl, so then when she gets sexually assaulted in the second one, it's worse. So they're just using this opening deal so we can victimize Batgirl even worse. But beyond that, let's make part 1 pretty weird, because we've always had Batman's always kind of have like a fatherly relationship to Robin, of course, Batgirl, and so it's like he's the father, they're the kids in this weird dysfunctional superhero type environment type thing. It's always kind of normally had that vibe. Except here, where suddenly now it's more kind of like the boss with his intern, the old guy with his hot new young intern, and then they screw each other on a building top. And she takes her top off and Batman's groping her butt. Well, when you're used to your Batman story kind of having this father to to his children vibe, suddenly this gets a weird incestuous vibe to it that definitely I'm not interested in at all. Let's say you don't come into it with that kind of baggage of viewing it through this family vibe, and it's just he's the boss man and she's the college in his 40s, and she's the who's buddies with her dad, and she's just the college age girl with a gay buddy that she talks to relationship advice about, like a 90s sitcom or something like that. And so that's what it is. Okay, so now we've just got the creepy boss man sleeping with the intern situation on a rooftop. I mean, no matter where you go with this, so ill-conceived in and of itself, this first part to it. Now let's take that. They just kind of slapped this on top of classic source material. Something that is beloved by fans, and they just went yeah, let's tell this weird story along with it that doesn't tie in, that nobody's really, I don't know whose fan fiction this is, which one of the writers, if it's Bruce, Tim, or what, that's just I was just always into, what if 2 bat people, were, into each other, that'd be great, wouldn't I don't know what this is, or who wanted this, or that it got through the whole process, that they slapped this onto the beginning of it, but not good. Beyond that, the animation is terrible. The voice acting isn't as good as it should be, considering the source material. All around, there's just nothing about it that I can be excited about. You took source material that's up here, slapped on this first episode thing that's down here, so you average out somewhere in here, and even the part that's based off of this isn't as good as it should have been, so we got something that's way down here. Not good. And so that was my most disappointing movie of the year. And kind of like with Batman v Superman, a movie that really, I came out of it and I was like, oh, that was really cool. And then I heard some other people's reviews and I went, ooh, ooh, not so good. That was stupid. And then I rewatched and I was able to go, all right, I'm going to compartmentalize my soul and just be like right here. It didn't offend me in ways that just were off-putting, that the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, I hate this. I just kind of went, I'm disappointed, but I can enjoy a lot of stuff in it. Batman the Killing Joke, however, I just think about it and I go, I don't want to watch a creepy scene of Batman and Batgirl going at it on a rooftop. I just don't need to see that ever again. I don't want to watch any of this. It's just weird vibes. And just kind of when you have shots of Batgirl taking her shirt off in her bra on a rooftop and getting groped, and then later on in it, you have her being sexually molested and pictures are shown to her dad. It gets a really, like, you're even kind of linking the titillation of this early, like, let's have a sex scene with her, to like her being molested later on. Like, this is really unsettling stuff to do. Like, how did no one tell them, you can't, this is not a good idea. You don't do this. So anyway, most disappointing. The more I think about it, the more I don't like it. Batman the Killing Joke. Anyway, that's my list of the most disappointing of the year. There's a lot of movies this year that disappointed. I actually could have had a longer list. I just didn't want to have this video go on forever, as it's already 17 minutes long, according to that number right there. I got on a couple of rants on a couple of these. How about you? What was the most disappointing movie of the year for you? Because I don't want to just talk about disappointing movies. I want to talk about these stinkers with you in the comments section. So let's get a lively discussion about the most disappointing movies of 2016. With that said, if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I love to talk movies and TV and talk about the latest news involved in all of it. And really, I like to talk to you in the comments section. So please join our little community here by clicking that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.